Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and in this video, I want to do the ancient history tag. I thought this would kind of go along with the History Challenge Readathon event that's going on right now. Kind of blend it together pretty well, I guess, on the same theme. This is a readathon event I'm co-hosting with three other people. There's still like 4 days left, I think, by the time this gets actually uploaded and whatnot. The last day, I think, is like the 30th of August, but it's still always a good time to read history, even if it's not during, the History Challenge event and stuff. But anyways, let's go ahead and get along with this text. Like I said, I thought it'd go well just with the history stuff kind of going on. I'm like, yeah, definitely got to incorporate it into kind of that 2 week period at some point. And this was created by Michelle at Books Michelle. I'll leave the link down below. And let's just go ahead and get started. So question number one, or prompt number one, is the Stone Age. So one of the first books you ever remember reading. Now, if we're going by like absolute, like first things I actually remember reading, like the earliest ones I can actually remember, like I Spy books. Like I always had those. I think even like before school and stuff, like they're like kindergarten, first grade stuff like that. I always had I Spy books. I always remember using them because I had like a giant collection of them and whatever. If you're not counting that, I can't actually think of like the first like novel, I guess. I do know I read The Hobbit in second grade, because that's like when like Lord of the Rings, I guess, was starting to first like be talked about as like a movie and stuff. My dad was like, "Yeah, just go read Tolkien The Hobbit or whatever." So I went up to the school library, took it out, and read it. I remember that, but I'm trying to think. There was probably other ish novels that I'm just can't remember, but those are like the earliest ones I can actually like think of. All right, prompt number two: ancient Greece. So your favorite myth-inspired book or a retelling. What I'm going to try and do is kind of vaguely keep them on the same-ish prompt, if that makes any sense. Though obviously I'm going to do a lot of like nonfiction, like kind of later on and whatever, just because that's like, what I do. But obviously you can just kind of answer it with whatever you're reading. Probably the most recent one for a Greek retelling that I've really enjoyed was Stephen Fry's Mythos. Very well done. I just found out, I was just informed that he will be doing a third book in the series on the myths of Troy. So that's going to be really cool. And then the second book is Heroes, which I have on audiobook, but I have not listened to yet. But he just does his, Stephen Fry kind of British, dry wit humor stuff kind of thrown into like the mythical retellings of, the gods and demigods and, that sort of thing of ancient Greece, and it's comes across really cool. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys will too. It seems to be a big hit, especially in audiobook format because Stephen Fry narrates it himself. So very well done. For a book I actually have is Norse Mythology by Neil Gaiman. This one was fantastic as well, and you're pretty much getting what you're what you're looking at. You're getting Neil Gaiman's like retelling with kind of his own kind of quirky spin on his adventures of Thor and Loki and Odin and stuff. So it's really fun, a lot of fun too. So highly encourage you all to read that as well. All right, prompt number three: Roman Empire, a book featuring an impressive empire. Now I have lots of books on just the Roman Empire, but I want to give some other empires and kingdoms, I guess. They're kind of day in the sun, and the one I'm gonna go with is the Hittites. I was gonna grab this one, but I've shown this one a lot, but I might still show it anyways. The next one that I need to read to is The Kingdom of the Hittites by Trevor Bryce, and this is supposed to be like the gold standard work on like the history of the Hittites. If you don't know who they were an ancient a late Bronze Age empire that was centered roughly in Anatolia, which is Turkey today, and they kind of competed with the New Kingdom of Egypt, as well as some of the Babylonian empires of the time, Mitanni, for example, stuff like that. It's just a lot of fun. I really enjoy them because they're kind of like, they were kind of like the underdogs and stuff, but after reading some of their history and stuff, they were actually just like a pretty cool people. Like they actually cared about, like law and order and justice and stuff, but like being equitable to like poor people and everything, and not just obviously the aristocracy, like in a lot of ancient Near Eastern cultures and whatever. So they got their own kind of like myths and stuff as well, which is pretty neat. And also like the Battle of Kadesh, where Ramses the second, did his giant propaganda spin, and everyone thinks Egypt won the Battle of Kadesh when it's totally not the case. I think the Hittite king at the time was Muwatalli, but Anyways, that's its own thing. So anyways, I need to read the like I said, the gold standard work on the Hittites right there. And I guess I might as well show my Folio Society one. As cool as that is. This one I've read as well. Or actually, I don't know why I said as well. I haven't read the other one, but this one I've read. It's really good as well. This one's by Oliver Gurney. All right. Prompt number 4, The Middle Ages, a book that is an absolute bummer. And I got a good one for that, all the Middle Ages, and it's How the Irish Saved Civilization by Thomas Cahill, I believe it is. And I think this is my book review of this from like a couple years ago, is my most disliked video on my channel by far. I mean, there is my review of Way of Kings. I think it gives it's like a run for its money, but pretty sure How the Irish Saved Civilization is my lowest rated book, or I mean most disliked review, and it's because I didn't care for the book at all. It was just, I have no idea why this was like such a huge bestseller. Like this, like whenever you see like medieval history, this always pops up on lists and everything, and I just think it's like the most overblown. Like it could have been like a 1-chapter book, to be honest. And the whole premise just, he actually like basically admits, yeah, it didn't really matter all that much. Not that medieval Ireland didn't do anything. That's not what I'm trying to say. But the big emphasis and thrust of the book is that there are a lot of medieval Irish scribes and stuff at the monasteries and whatever that translated a lot of like philosophical and classical works and stuff into the vernacular and into Latin from ancient Greek and stuff. But he basically admits, there were actually quite a few others doing it, especially the Byzantine Empire. So, like I said, it's just kind of just like a Irish hype thing. And I got Irish blood, and he said it's, it's you just gotta say it, like, it's just like a giant hype book. I guess I will say, like, the title, that was like the perfect title. How the Irish Saved Civilization. Everyone's gonna buy it. But anyways, that's what I'm going with for the Middle Ages of a book that is an absolute bummer. Question number 5, The Renaissance, a book you've learned a lot from or that made you think. And I'm going to go with one that I did fairly recently, and it's Nature's Best Hope by Douglas Tallamy. And I'm doing this from the concept, I learned a lot from. And it's all about how to make your yard or your lawn as eco-friendly as possible to like your local wildlife and stuff. But he has a lot of resources, just for example, he gives out like websites and databases and stuff that you can like look up yourself, where researchers and scientists have compiled like, the best kind of flowers, for example, that you can plant to help kind of like insect and butterfly life in your neighborhood based on like your ecosystem in like the part of the whatever county you live in and stuff. So I think just finding resources like that is just really cool. And he kind of goes off on, for example, if you have a really small yard and you say you can only plant like 1 tree or something like that, what do you do? And he kind of goes off, well, probably like some kind of oak or whatever is probably your best bet, just because of this and that, and these hundreds of species. And he doesn't actually list all hundreds of species, but he basically says, there's several hundred species that actually can utilize an oak, whereas, for example, a different tree might only have like 10 or 20 or something like that. So it's kind of cool, just like learning a lot on, like I said, just the most, I don't know, like maximizing like your efficiency, I guess, with your lawn and stuff. I try to do that as well with my yard. It's kind of cool because he was talking about, like, for example, with the oak, like the flower counterpart, he wanted to give as an example as goldenrod, and I have like a giant field of goldenrod and part of my yard, so that I don't mow or anything like that. So I think that's kind of cool, like just learning stuff about like that. So I'm gonna go with Nature's Best Hope for learning a lot from. All right, 6, Industrial Revolution, a book featuring an invention or concept that you would love to have in your own life. I'm going to go with probably a weird book, or a weird one for this, and I'm going for like a concept. I'm going with The Sword and the Stone by T.H. White, the first book in the Once and Future King. And my concept is being turned into an animal, kind of go along with like my nature stuff that I talk about a lot on the channel as well. Being turned into an animal, kind of like what Merlin does to Arthur. And then you have to go into like their society or whatever, and you learn all about them on their own terms and stuff. So I thought that was really cool. Like, for example, when he's like turned into the pike and he has to deal with the king pike and stuff, and then he turns himself into does he get turned into a Merlin when he's talking to like the goshawk and the other like birds of prey and everything. So it's kind of really cool, that whole concept of being able to like walk in other shoes, I guess you would say, and meet them on their own terms and learn from them. And that way, I think that'd be really cool. And I think that's something a lot of people need to sort of be able to do, especially in this day and age. So that's the concept I'm going for something I would like. Oh my gosh, as I almost knocked them all over. I know it's a stack of like 3 books, and I still like knock it over. All right, number, what is it? What are we on? 7? Yes, the World Wars. Favorite historical fiction set in the World Wars, or your favorite historical fiction if you haven't read any on the World Wars. I don't read historical fiction, but I do have an entire shelf of World War I history books. Probably tired of me promoting A World Undone, The Story of the Great War by G.J. Meyer. Definitely the best 1-volume history of World War I by far. So I've promoted that like a billion times. So I'm going to go with another one that I really enjoyed. I read a couple years ago, and it's The Wolf, the mystery raider that terrorized the seas during World War I by Richard Gilliat and Peter Honan. This was all about the Wolf. He was like a German stealth merchant raider where once they set sail, they basically just broke off communication with the rest of the world. They never sent out any signals and stuff. They only just like read and intercepted other signals just to like kind of learn the locations of different stuff. And I think they took out about 25 or 30 ships. And took, obviously took prisoners and stuff, but they got like all their food and like fuel, because I think it was like running on coal and stuff from other ships, and like doing like little like just because they couldn't go and land in ports and stuff, because obviously that would give away their location or whatever. But just as an example, it lasted about 2 years. Left on November 30th, 1916, and then till the end of the war, so almost 2 years. So anyways, in this gripping account of an audacious and lethal World War I expedition, the authors detail the 64,000-mile voyage of the Wolf, a German naval raider sent on a suicide mission to terrorize distant Allied ports by laying minefields and seeking freighters. To maintain secrecy, the Wolf could never pull into port or use her radio, and to comply with the rules of sea warfare, her captain fastidiously tried to avoid killing civilians aboard the merchant ships he attacked. Oh, and that was another part of it as well. The captain was like super hardcore and kind of like the old ways, I guess, of warfare, where like civilians were like sacrosanct, or you try to keep them as sacrosanct as possible. The only problem with that is he was so successful in like all the ships he was capturing. For example, I think it says more than 400 captives from 25 different nations on his boat. And the problem was trying to keep like all his prisoners alive, and he treated them pretty decently as best he could on like a single ship and whatever. But he didn't just like take out like civilian boats and whatever. Anyways, I thought that was kind of a cool, like weird, quirky, unique kind of like story from like World War I. Definitely encourage you to check that out if you're into like naval stuff or World War I stuff. Number 8, present day, a book everyone should read in the present day. This one is easy for me. This one's a recent one, and it's The Story of More: How We Got to Climate Change and Where We Go From Here by Hope Jahren. And yeah, like pretty much like braiding sweetgrass, you're going to hear about this book all the time. It's all about how, as a human, the human species on the planet is just over consuming pretty much everything, whether that's natural resources like oil and stuff, just our agricultural use, obviously like animal husbandry, animal farming, stuff like that, aquaculture, just electrical use, everything like that is just out of control. And that's why we have so many problems, especially dealing with like climate stuff right now. And then she kind of just like lays it all out, like with like just really good facts, and just presents them, and basically says, this is what we're doing, and that's what it, you know what I mean. So it's hard to like counter any of this kind of stuff, and it's written very well and kind of like a down to earth kind of conversational style, and it's not like a super long book, so you don't have to read like a 500-page treatise on petroleum products or something like that. But anyways, definitely encourage everyone to read this one. I think I say that, I think most people probably do realize that, like the subconscious level, like we consume too much. But anyways, this would be the book I would ask everyone to read for sure. So there you have it. There is my 8 answers, but I'm going to be tagging this. I'm going to tag my 3 co-hosts doing the history challenge with me, and it's gonna be Emma from A Couple Books, Jenny from Book of Shenanigans, and Justin over at Ghost Reader. Definitely check out their content, go subscribe, look at their like history challenge stuff. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'm also going to tag Jenna over at Bibliofilth, Chris over at Chris's Book is Cauldron, and Kate from Chapter Kate, who's going to be hosting the Monster-a-thon readathon next month. So I'm going to leave all their links down below. They're all channels I really enjoy. Hope you guys do as well. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, Insta, Twitter, Etsy shop, pretty much everything. So there, I think I hit all. I think that's gonna be my new thing, is just try to do that so fast that I don't feel like as bad doing all the plugs. But anyways, whatever you're reading, always remember, read victoriously.